Tell me a bit about the business.
So a little background about me, Christian Brown. I just turned 28 years old, which is really fun, which means that
Mhm.
I've actually been in the influencer marketing space for 10 years now. So I grew up in a very small town in Massachusetts, which is called New England for a reason. It's very much like England in that neck of the woods, and really small town, right? And not a whole lot of access to like the big city life or anything like that. And so for me, building like businesses online and exploring the world really happened on my computer. And so like this is like
Mhm.
Tumblr, Facebook, like early YouTube days,
Yeah.
and then came out Instagram and came Squarespace and Shopify and all these tools that were hitting the scene to really like create and deploy like businesses. And so I was building ecom brands, learning about how to build a business and scale it and do all these fun things. And then with that was like, well, how do I do like marketing and distribution
Mhm.
and all that? And so insert social media. And so I started, like just exploring social media, posting everything on Instagram, like building a following and an audience. And, every friend that I had that I was meeting at the time was from the internet. And so that led me like to and through Boston, New York, Miami, LA. And then at the end of high school, I had stood up my first like lifestyle brand, and it was doing pretty well. And so I then went off to Chicago to go study PR and advertising at DePaul University, which was just kind of like the fire in all of this because it's like, all right, well, I knew that you can stand up and build an ecom business, right? And then like every brand wants to be like those big aspiring mega brands. So I was learning at like university level about what is media planning, right? Like how big are these budgets? Like how do they really exist? And really quickly, I was like, oh, 10, $50 million budgets, like brands are willing to spend anything on media. And then you look at, growing up, especially in the American markets, like the Super Bowl commercials, right? Like we're playing
Yeah, big
the
sexy.
second. Yeah, big, sexy, fun, like the marketers spending all the dollars and stuff. So I was like, all right, there's totally something here. And, just learning the
Yeah.
history of advertising and paid media and then like looking backwards and then like really looking at where we were at in time and where like the industry was going. Me and everyone I knew put big bets on social, and
Mhm.
like social commerce and social media. And with that is content creation and influencer marketing and the creator economy. And so like we were really focused on that from the brand side, but also at the time, like really working with all the influencers in our network and understanding that there were like pain points on both ends of like what could be a marketplace model. And so, come 2020, one of my really good friends I was working with in LA, he's like, yo, like, why don't we just build a platform for this? And so we sat down, Dylan and I hit the ground running and we're like, all right, let's
Nice.
build the business model. Let's build a marketplace. Let's solve for the problems within the influencer marketing space. And fast forward a couple years and here we are running that like at scale every single day.
Insane, man. And I guess what problems were you seeing between brands and creators that nobody was solving effectively?
So like there is a workflow that is involved, right? And like we've learned this over time. So I guess from the influencer side, looking at the problem of like some influencers were getting contracts in their email that were $20,000 per post. Some influencers were looking at that and saying, well, I have more followers than you. Why aren't people emailing me? The simple
Mhm.
answer was like the business acumen. Is your email in your bio? Do you have a manager? Do you have an agent? Do you not? Do you know how to actually respond to brand deals and monitor inbox and manage an inbox? Do you know how to like manage yourself? Or are you
Yeah.
just a creator? Right? So there was like all that side and a big hole from like the brand deal flow to the creators and then the management
Yeah.
process. And on the brand side, they were like, how do we find influencers, right? Influencer marketing breaks down into the search and discovery. So how do you find them? When you find them, how do you communicate with them? Then when you want to work with them, how do you manage like legal and contracting? Then you ship them product or it's a service, whatever. So there's the content creation, submission, review, feedback loop, right? So once the content's approved, where's it going live and how do you manage that process? Then,
Yeah.
like, how are you tracking the data on that? How are you doing the payouts, so the payment rails? And then how in February are you managing the tax forms? So the brands were kind of just like doing this over email. And like,
Yeah,
it's
it's a bit of
learning.
a mess.
Yeah, even if you look back at like, Entourage was the greatest show of all time. That's about the entertainment industry in LA in the early 2000s. Everything had to go through Ari Gold, the manager. But now we're in
Yeah.
like the digital age and like a lot of the entertainment industry is kind of shifting super digital where like, there are platforms for this. There are workflows for this. There's technology that's like empowering and speeding this up. And so that's what we set forth to create and deploy is exactly that. And so now we call it the method that we use is like we call it the influencer powered growth engine because for us, the brands come to us. We hire teams of influencers to empower the brand to create content, deploy it, and then that all happens through our tech. We can manage, the licensing rights through the tech, and then from there we can deploy that content as paid ads. So we turn
Nice.
content into revenue, and then
Nice,
boom, now
nice.
you have a marketing strat.
Yeah, I might be biased, but I think it's just a super, super fun, super,
Yeah.
important industry, and I'm always on socials, TikTok, Instagram every day, and
Yeah.
I find it such a cool industry. Did you ever envision it becoming a large, creator marketplace, your business, your brand?
Yeah, no, we did. We did. Like by all means, like we set forth to build a creator marketplace.
Nice.
So like initially when we launched, we have like a pre-vetted influencer community, and what that means is influencers and creators download and apply. Right. So we've had over 75,000 applicants. From there, we vet based on follower count, engagement rate, brand likability, suitability for work. We have a full, like, pretty rigorous vetting process.
Wow.
So the influencer and creator needs to meet a specific criteria, and from there, we've admitted in about 15,000 creators into the community. And so, like, we always set forth to create a marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, we set forth to
Yeah.
build a community and to build a opportunity and deal flow for the creators. Like, let I can just show you right here. Like, check this, right? This is our iOS app. Like, I always just have it open, right? So
Nice.
every day new deals come out. It is a deal flow, deal board for.
Nice.
So for them, they open the app, they get a notification, they ping it. They're looking at it. It feels like Uber Eats, right? You're able to look at what you qualify for and what you don't, and then you can apply for it, and then you can chat with the brand, and then one thing turns into the next, and then you get a contract set to you, and you can sign it in 2 seconds. You can get paid out that week. Like, we've really optimized what was once an email flow into a full system. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that sounds super smart because the best some of the best businesses on the planet are the businesses that connect you, your Ubers,
Yeah.
your Amazons, and it's exactly what you're doing for that industry.
Right. Yep.
Um, in terms of influencer marketing has exploded over the last few years, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it is that's really driving that growth?
So really what I believe in is the introduction of TikTok. And so, when we think on the timeline of social media, there was obviously your YouTube and Facebook, right? Facebook was very static posts. It was like
Yeah,
Facebook and Twitter as very written posts. And then image came along. And then Instagram hit the scene, which was just image, right? And then a couple years later, Meta bought Instagram because they saw the long-term vision. And everyone, I used to in high school and early college be like, I don't think anything will take out Instagram. I think it's the biggest behemoth in the world, and image was so valuable, right? Like how you looked and how you presented yourself and how you made that pristine vibe on your page, right? It wasn't really how you walked and talked and your mannerisms at that
yeah,
point. It was very much like, how can you present that? How can a brand present themselves? Graphic design was so important. And then everything flipped on its head with the introduction of TikTok, especially in 2020 around the COVID era. Because now everyone, A, inside their homes, B,
yeah.
creating video. It was the reintroduction of the YouTube age, the short-lived
Crazy.
Vine age, which was 6-second videos,
Yeah,
right?
the Vine.
Like
Did you say Vine there?
Vine, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It
remember
was
Vine.
yeah, it was the reinvention of that, right? And
Yeah, it
so
was.
and so I really looked at this, like, I tried to look from 1,000 feet in the air and be like, "Is it gonna stick?" Boom, it stuck right away. Is it gonna compete with Instagram? Out of nowhere, Instagram starts feeling the burn. People were leaving Instagram, right? So Meta had the data to say, people are spending less time on Meta. We're losing ad dollars. Where are they going? TikTok. Why were they going there? Video. So now Instagram comes out with Instagram Reels to compete with TikTok. Now everybody, YouTube has YouTube Shorts. Snapchat made it a priority to introduce short form video there. Netflix has Netflix Reels, right? Everyone is doing short form video. And
Yeah,
so I think because of that, the resurgence of influencer marketing exploded tenfold because now every brand no longer can just hire a graphic designer to churn out 30 pieces of content a month to have a cool curated feed. Brands now need to be in the conversation. They need real people that walk, talk, and act like their ideal customer profile to actually make that 15, 30, 60-second video for their Instagram page. So
yeah.
now it's like, we're at now in the age of the nano and micro influencer. And now they have a whole new opportunity to make a ton of money because they can partner with brands. And like the highest, if you look at like the total volume of contracts that go through Glewee, the highest volume price is about $250 per post. And that's
Right.
because brands are working with nano influencers to create a bunch of content for their page. And
So
the
what do you
brand,
mean by nano influencers?
like, call it 3 to 10,000 followers.
Right, okay.
Yeah, like they're
So why are they
nanos.
doing that? Because I see this a lot. I see this all the time.
Yeah,
Like you say, that 3 to 10K mark.
yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So like they're just starting out, or they've been at it for a couple months, right? And they want to be an influencer, they want to be a creator. they're living the life, they're making content, a couple videos hit, maybe a couple got 30, 50, 80,000 views, a couple got 100,000 views, they're pinned to the profile, and they're just making content, right? They're trying to find their niche, whether it's like motherhood, lifestyle, fashion, fitness, beauty, wellness, and they're kind of like you can tell that they have their influencers they look up to, and they're using viral trends that everyone's using, right? So
Yeah,
they're like playing ball. And then from
yeah,
there, like, they have a curated feed, and when a brand comes to them, they are over the moon to partner with the brand.
yeah,
Sometimes what's really cool is, like, micro nano influencers can come to our platform and get their first ever paid deal, right? Because 'Cause they've been doing things for
nice.
free before, and we're like, "Hey, you can get $250 per post on our platform. You can get 500. You can get" some people get paid out, like, 5, 10, 20,000 per post on our platform,
Wow,
right? It's like a
crazy.
scale. So, the nano influencers, it's their time right now, and I love that. Like, we are here for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I no, I see that a lot, and I find that super interesting. Um, I guess moving on to technology. So you built a platform around discovery and campaign management.
Yep.
How important is technology in scaling what you do and influencer marketing in general?
Quintessential, right? Like, this whole entire operation, what we've created is a technology platform to optimize and scale the workflow and the
Yeah,
workload. And so if you work with 1, 5, 10 influencers over email and like, the OG archaic method, fine,
hmm
a lot of management. But the second you're in double digits, 10 to 100 influencers and don't even try
yeah,
to do 100 plus, you're cooked, right? There is
yeah,
no
100%.
inbox that can withhold that or withstand that, and then one thing slips through the cracks, and then boom, like, now it's on
Yeah,
its head. And so at scale, absolutely. And from our side, technology, like, everything needs to be elastic as we bring on new users, everything needs to scale with that. So when we built the technologies, the iOS app for influencers, the web platform for brands, we've always been thinking at scale, right? How can
yeah,
we make this the size one day of an Amazon, right? Or as something as big marketplace size as an Uber and Airbnb, even Fiverr
100%.
for the freelance space. We look up to all of them, but like, everything needs to be scalable so that as we add brands and as we add creators and influencers, everything just scales up.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. And obviously, AI is a hot topic on everyone's mind. How
There
is
is.
AI changing influencer marketing right now?
I think like influencer marketing as an industry, I spent a lot of time in and around the AI space. And so let's start with generative AI. I think in Q3, Q4 2025, generative AI really hit the scene in a more mass market sense.
Yeah,
Q1, Q2 this year, I thought it was just going to go linear, like an explosive scale linearly or a hockey stick or whatever.
yeah,
And I was really curious, how is that going to impact us? And Q3, Q4, like I mentioned, a lot of brands were getting on the scene. They were using things like Field, a lot of Gen AI platforms. And like, it was really fun, right? You can like upload your product and out of nowhere, you get this like UGC piece of a talking at 15-second video, or like you
yeah,
can put the CPG brand and Mars, right?
yeah,
So that's cool. And I think what happened was people thought that they could get ahead of the curve and then run all that content as ads. And so obviously Meta, TikTok, all those guys, they were like, sure, let it ride. An ad is an ad, right? You're paying for it. And so we got this like big volume of Gen AI in the space, right? And people were able to look at the data and be like, wait a second, no one cares. Like, people actually dislike that video. My CPMs or my CTRs or my ad metrics on that suck. And
yeah,
so very quickly, I was always looking at this like, "Hey, I'm just interested, right? I'm not gonna give my 2 cents until asked." And
yeah,
out of nowhere, we started to see, like, at the end of Q1 into early Q2 this year, brands coming faster than ever and saying, "Hey, we tried AI content and it didn't work at all. So we wanna walk backwards. We really need real influencers, real creators using our brand now." And so, like, generative AI, I think it has its I know it has its place. I think it had its moment, but I
yeah.
think like, we're coming back full circle, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. Yeah, I've seen that quite a lot as well. And I
Yeah.
guess, do you have any? So actually, I want to ask you about this. Tell me about the Forbes affiliation, please.
Yeah, so, when I was 24, Dylan was 23, we got 30 under 30. So,
Nice, man.
that was, like, around the time that, we had
Insane.
launched a little bit earlier, probably, like, 18 months earlier than that, and, we were really growth hacking onto the scene, like, we got our first 10,000 active users. In that period, we brought on, like, thousands of e-com brands, to try out the
Nice.
platform. And so like we hit the ground running and really, we really just put ourselves out there. And then yeah, it came nominations and then someone was like, "Hey, you guys should check out 30 under 30." And then out of nowhere, we got a call one day. It was like, "Hey, calling in from Forbes." And at the time, Joe and I were both um,
Yeah.
Forbes Council, like, business writers, just to,
Right.
like, to increase what we were, like, kind of our surface area, and so I
Mm.
thought they were calling for that, so I was like, "Yeah, no, all the numbers are right, like, just, hey, what's up?" I thought they were just, like, checking in, saying hi, and then, like, I don't know, 2 months later, I opened my phone one morning, and one of my friends, Gigi, texted me, she's like, "Oh my gosh, congrats," and I was getting into my, like, really janky, like, Lexus car, the same one I had in high school, and, like, the muffler was falling off of it, and I was driving to our office, and I was like, "For what?" And I was living in Florida and I didn't have air conditioning, so I was like already
Right.
sweating and like the windows were up. I'll never forget. And she sends me the article and it's Dylan and I's face and it was like 30 under 30 and I dropped the phone and I like literally
Insane.
called my mom and I was like, "I'm gonna send you a link. You're on your computer right now. Check it out. Is it real?" And it's on speaker or whatever. And she's like, "Yo, oh my gosh, yeah." And I drove to the office. I was like, "Oh my goodness, like we did it. That's super cool."
Amazing.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it's a cool validation moment.
Yeah, it is. And has that helped in business as well?
So I think like like all accolades, it does as much as you make it do, right?
Mm.
Like you have to give it legs and you have to like, I know some people from our class that like it's a major factor in their marketing, right? And that's
Mm.
amazing. And I think a lot of people, you can use it to go to market. Some people I know that were in our list straight up, and I'm like really good friends with everyone I've met through that, straight up don't even mention it. Like it just kind of brushed over them, which is fine.
Mm.
For us, like it is a part of our hard work, and it's
100%.
a yeah, reflection or an acknowledgement of that, but, we don't use it too much. I think at the end of the day, I want people to know us for us and our team and our
Sure.
technology, and, it's in my footer in my email. That's cool. I like that.
Of
Like, I
course.
printed it out and it's, like, hung up, the magazine and us in it is hung up, like,
Yeah.
my wall and from in my mom's office and on my grandmother's, living room. So, like, yeah, it's cool.
Class.
It's, like,
Love
cool
that, man.
ROI for that.
Yeah, man. That is super cool. What excites you the most about where the business is going in the next, say, couple of years?
Oh, I think, going back to AI, I think AI is gonna be great, right? There is that generative space going out there in the models and everything. I
Mm.
think from a workflow perspective, I think AI is going to be a force multiplier, in so many way that we use it
Absolutely.
internally, it is unbelievable, right? It is revolutionary. It is technology that is going to continue to change the world in a lot of ways. And I think it's only going to empower us as like operators, leaders, creators, creatives, etc., to be smarter, faster, and stronger. I think
Yeah,
when you use it right, whether you're the end consumer or B or whatever, it's data in, data out, and I think people are going to learn how to make it work for them a lot more. I'm most excited to see where that goes. I'm most excited to see how, in parallel, the creator economy continues to explode.
yeah,
I think, like, we're gonna see creators are gonna be the center of everything. I think that, like, a
100%.
lot of traditional media the same way that, like, TV kinda killed radio and how iPhones killed newspapers, right? I think that, like, the next wave is going to be creator marketing and social media is gonna kill that of, like or replace that of traditional digital media, and we're only
Yeah.
need to evolve to and through this space.
100%. And finally, from me, I'd love to. You're a super successful entrepreneur. Do you have any advice for maybe younger professionals who are listening, maybe thinking about getting into a similar space or taking that next step in their career?
Yeah, I think like look at the space you want to enter, right? Like identify what is your product or your service, right? It's a physical product or maybe it's a digital service or what have you. And then think about do you want to start through local distribution, right? Maybe you're making a service business in your local area, right? Think
Yeah,
about the total addressable market there. Identify who is the ideal customer profile and then think how many of them are there, right? Do you
yeah,
want to be national or like regional, national, global, or do you want to be like a small shop in your town? Whatever that the answer to that might be, identify who is the ideal customer. So who is going to actually write the check to pay you, your business, for this product or service. And then think one step further and say to yourself, where do they hang out, physically or digitally? Is
yeah.
it Facebook? Is it Instagram? right? Are they on Reddit? Are they on YouTube? Or are they nowhere and they only read their email once a week? Wherever they are, you need to get in front of them, whether it is digital distribution, whether you want to go print out business cards and hand them out at networking events, right? You're going to have to think about how can you get your brand, your product, and your service in front of your buyer. Once you do it once, you can do it 5 times, then you can do it
Yeah.
10 times. Go from
Yeah.
10 to 100 times, you're going to become a master, right? You're going to get
Yeah.
the spark and you're going to get into like that flow state and you're going to get your swag and go do it 1,000 times.
I hear
And
that all the time actually at the moment, the flow state.
yeah, flow
I
state, like
can't stop hearing it.
dude, once you have your swag, especially in a
Yeah,
sales sense, right? When you
100%.
know that your product and what you offer and the company you built, when you know that it solves a great problem that your buyer is looking for, flow state.
Yeah,
Just do it over and
100%.
over and over, and, like, create value, deliver value, like, be the guy, the gal, whatever, that has value, and, like, don't overcharge for it, right? Get it out there, build a great case study, right? Whether it's a text or an email screenshot or, like, a video of you and said customer on a call together that you can use over and over again, like, when you bring value to your customer, and when they see value in abundance, be proud of that. Like, get hyped about it and then go tell the next customer and the next customer. Use that as material as you go from sales call
100%.
10 to 100, right? And just let this thing snowball. Like, that's the most fun part about all this is that, like, don't give up. Don't, like,
Yeah,
it's in the stomach, man. Get back up. Do it again.
yeah,
Do it again and again and again and again because your people are gonna say no and they don't wanna buy your shit, and that sucks, but that's
100%.
okay because the next person might. Keep going,
Exactly.
find who does.
It's such a fine line because I think that's when most people quit when it gets hard and think, ah, but actually on that other side, not to be cliche, of that hardness and hardship is the
Yes,
success and where it all the hockey stick moment.
100%. Yeah, 100%, and, like, you're not gonna nail the first 10 sales calls. You're not gonna nail the
Yeah,
first 100. It's not till, like, sales call 250 are you gonna, like, really be like, "Oh, yeah, I got it like that." Even some
yeah,
days for me, like, I turn around and I'm like, wow, that was a great conversation that me and a potential buyer or a current customer had. And then other times, like, we'll get some like really crazy questions out of left field and they'll want to know this, this, this. And I'll have to honestly say, yo, give me a little bit of time. Let me go back.
yeah.
Let me figure this one out. Like, we don't have an immediate answer for this, but let's build one. Right. Like, let's
Mm,
figure this out together. And then you're forming much more than like a transactional thing. You can form a partnership or you can bring a new idea to market with someone.
100%. Thank you so much, buddy. You've got some fantastic content there.